Today on Spirit Outspoken, we're joined by Sean Collyns, a world renowned psychic medium and author of Your Soul is the Source of Your Power, coming out this March. In this expansive and deeply comforting conversation, Shawn shares what it's truly like on the other side, describing a collective oneness and divinity that connects us all, beyond religion, culture, or language. He reminds us that energy never lies, that we can trust our feelings, and that psychic ability isn't reserved for a gifted few. It's something we all carry within us. Sean opens up about his own journey into mediumship and offers grounded insights into how we can begin strengthening our own intuitive connection, including how loved ones continue to communicate with us after they've passed. We explore reincarnation, the continuity of the soul, and why love never ends. It simply changes form. For anyone navigating grief, longing for reassurance, or seeking a deeper understanding of who we truly are, this conversation offers profound peace, clarity, and comfort. And with that, let's dive in. Shawn, we're so excited to have you here. We have been watching you from afar, and your Instagram page is just so beautiful and so encouraging. Personally speaking, this is the first time we're meeting. I've shared on this platform many times that I have had a lot of grief in my own life. I lost my dad, my brother, and my sister-in-law all very suddenly and tragically. And so when I found your page and what you're doing, the immense amount of peace and love and comfort that it can bring to people who have lost loved ones, it's just so amazing. And I see it as such an incredible, beautiful, God-given gift. And so today we're just so excited to have you here and really start to help people understand what this is when we say mediumship, what it looks like, where it comes from, and how it can really be used as a healing modality for so many people. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. That is so nice to hear. I'm always making all of this stuff, and to hear it in that way, it's still so nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So on your profile, it says that you are a psychic medium. Can you clarify what that is for people? Because I've heard sometimes people refer to it as mediumship, and then there's psychics, and then there's psychic medium. So what are the differences, and how do you classify what you do?
Yeah. So I really believe that everyone is psychic, and everyone has the capability to communicate with the spirit world and do mediumship as well. But the psychic part of the word just means that we are able to tune into energy. We can feel the energy that is around us. We can feel the energy of people, of one another, and we can interpret that energy. Where medium refers to being able to create a contact with the spirit world and bring through validated information, bring through their messages, their love, and connect into the place where we all are when we transition back to the spirit world or heaven.
Yeah. So what do you call it on the other side? What do you personally refer to it as?
It's always the spirit world for me. That's what it's always been, but I don't think it matters. I think you can use whatever floats your boat, whatever feels right for you. It in essence just means to me to be at one, at home with God consciousness. That's what the spirit world is to me. It's just no separation whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. So, okay. So this was sort of part of my spiritual awakening was me stumbling upon information that I really had no business knowing and then me feeling also very compelled to tell people said information and it kept happening. And I actually like this is when Rachel and I this is like many years ago really bonded over this because I was like this is happening. I don't know what this is. I don't know. I grew up Christian and it wasn't that I feared it at all because it was myself and I knew I trust myself and I trust my own intentions, right? But it was more like I have no idea what to do with this because I've never been exposed to it before. Now, you say something very interesting that all of us have these capabilities. So I guess this is kind of like a two-part question. When did you discover these capabilities? And then can you help our listeners kind of understand how we might all be able to tap into that?
Yeah, of course. Well, it comes down to the simple fact that we are energetic beings. We are a soul. So that means that we are able to connect into all other energy that is around us at all times. And when people often start receiving messages or picking up on things, sometimes we feel like, oh, this is my responsibility to say this, or I'm being given this because it's my duty to go and relay it, which is how I felt. And then when it all awakened for me, I found myself working in a cafe, serving people coffee, and then delivering them messages from the spirit world like it was a little cookie on top of their coffee cup.
Oh,
And it was so
stop.
inappropriate. Yeah. Yeah. I was like,
No.
yeah.
Sounds
Love
beautiful.
that.
I know.
Well, time and place. It's not
Yeah,
Right.
always
True.
people on their
True.
way to work just want to get their coffee and then they're being struck with something completely unexpected. Like it would just come out of nowhere. I would see the outline of of a spirit standing next to them, and a few details would come into my mind, and it would be like, John, car accident. And then something within me was so compelling that it was true. And mainly because I needed to know for myself if I was going crazy or if what I
Yeah.
was
Totally.
seeing
Yeah.
was real. I said it to those people. I was like, do you know someone who passed away from this and this or like this? And they would always know who I was referring to. And
Wow.
it only took a few times before I realized that it was probably an inappropriate thing to do. But that was what really led me to going fully into my development and trying to understand it for myself.
For sure. Had you had
Yeah. I think we're going to ask
ex
the same
yeah,
thing.
any
Yeah.
experiences with that before and what age were you when this happened? I'm just curious.
I was 18 when this happened. But yeah, we got to backtrack a little bit. So when I was 15, I was raised in a super open-minded family. My dad was super psychic. He would pick up on things, predict things, specific things to the day out of nowhere. He
Wow.
would know
Wow.
like random celebrity deaths that were completely unexpected as well. He would just say, I have a feeling this person's going to pass away next Thursday. But he never
Crazy.
did anything with it. He never
Crazy.
developed it. So it was always around me. And when I was 15, another medium told me that I had this ability and that I was going to be known for it and it was going to be a big, big thing for me. I didn't believe her, even though everything else that she said was like completely accurate. I thought that for her, it must be like she was having a conversation. There was a spirit talking in her ear, and that would be what it would be like for mediums. And it was a gift, and it wasn't something that you could awaken or learn. It was just some people had it and others didn't. And I didn't really think there was anything in between that. So, not being someone who had experiences that really felt what I expected it to be, I just didn't believe that I would do that. And it did spark my curiosity though. And I started to practice or read books and learn about things, and experiences did start really happening. But the major, major awakening was when they started popping up with customers at the cafe. That was where it all really became a big part of my life.
So after that happened, then what? Like where did you go from there? After the cafe and you're like, "Hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing this with everybody's coffee run."
Yeah.
Like where did you channel the energy next and go from there?
So this part of the story is a bit lengthy, but it's really one of my favorite stories because it was so incredible. Part of my learning and curiosity led me to exploring out of body experiences. And I was learning these techniques of trying to feel your own consciousness within you and like basically in a meditative state with your body asleep, get out and go explore. And I tried for ages, but this one time I managed to do it. And it was like this portal opened up in my mind, and suddenly I was looking at my body from outside of myself. And I would just go up into the earth, over the earth, look down on where I wanted to go. And as soon as I could think of somewhere I wanted to be, I would be coming down on it from above.
I have full body goosebumps.
Yeah. It was incredible. And I go into this full story in my book because there's so much detail within it. But the end of it is that I was at my grandmother's house in New Zealand. I was in Australia at the time, and she was sitting there. But next to her, I saw my grandfather who had already passed away at the time. And he was how I was like seeing myself translucent and not, three-dimensional. And he gave me this message in this space that was so specific. He said, Shawn, we don't have long. How many signs do we have to send? You're a medium. You need to start believing in yourself. And he said to me, there is a man named Tony Stockwell coming to Melbourne in March. Go and train with him. Go and learn from him. And I'd never heard any of these details in my life. But as soon as I came back from that experience, searched what he was telling me, and there it was, the Tony Stockwell mediumship retreat, March that year. And
No way.
yeah,
That is so amazing. That is
yeah.
so amazing.
So that's
So
when it started.
obviously
There it was.
I went
Yeah,
and
yeah, of course. At that
learned.
point, you better go.
I learned all these amazing things from these incredible mediums, and now Tony is a really close colleague of mine and works together with me on my Bali retreat.
That's
So it's so
incredible.
full circle, incredible.
Love what you said there about how many signs do we have to send you? Like this idea that they are not far from us and they are very much involved in our lives all the time if we're only willing to recognize it. But I just think that's so sweet. Like,
Yeah.
how many times do we have to tell you this?
Yeah. We don't have long. Come on, I got to
We
get
don't-
this message to
Right.
you. 'Cause
He's
you're
like,
finally going
literally,
to hear it.
brought you to me. Listen to me. Okay,
Yeah.
so can we talk about that for a second? Because you just brought up an interesting point, Rach. Like, conceptually, what is your concept of heaven? Is it here, but a different dimension? Is it somewhere in the sky? Like, perceptually or realistically, like, what would you identify it as a place?
Yeah, it's definitely not some faraway place. It's
Okay.
right here with us. And the way that a message that the spirit world always send is like, we're just in the next room. And that's what it feels like. Like they're just sitting back there. We know that they're there. We can feel them, but we can't always see them and we can't talk to them all that easily. But it's just a shift within vibration. It's just a dimensional shift. And for us to be able to communicate with them, we have to raise our frequency and kind of expand our own field of energy. And when we do that, we reach into those higher planes of dimension where they are residing now, and we can have a crossover point where information comes through. But they're not in some faraway place. They're not out of touch. There's no one place that good souls go and one place that bad souls go. They're all here. We're all back in that place of oneness with God. And the only place where, state of hell can be experienced, in my opinion, is here in this earthly existence.
We did a couple episodes on is hell real?
Mhm.
And, a lot of theologians and pastors making the case that it's not a physical place, that it's this man-made concept that we've, utilized to keep people in a place of fear and control. So I love hearing that because that was one of
Yes.
my questions is like, you hear about purgatory or all these different areas that different souls go, but you're saying once we die, we all connect back to source.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
there's obviously, I believe in karma and karmic debts, and that our souls wish to experience all polarities of existence. And we really come here to learn and to evolve. And we know that coming into this, that both good and bad is going to be a part of that, because we can't evolve or learn anything in a place of perfection, which is where we come from. So all of that happens here. All of that is played out here. Hell can be experienced here as a state of being. But once we shed our earthly existence and our earthly form, we are pretty much immediately back to what we have always been, which is a spark of God consciousness.
I love
So
that.
I'm having like all these thoughts now of things that we've talked about. Let me
Hit me with
just
them.
share one of them. We've talked a lot on this program about the divine being within and that we have divinity within each one of us, and that essentially it's our kind of work to try to reconnect with that spark, right, of where we come from and the God within. So when you were talking about raising our energy to get to a place where we can commune with people on the other side, is that kind of that same idea of like connecting, raising our energy to a certain point so that we can basically experience God, heaven here now?
Exactly. And we do that through our emotional state. It's not some like energy technique that you have to learn how to do. It's just by feeling amazing and feeling these beautiful emotions, you elevate your energy. And that's what takes you into a place of being connected.
I love that too, because I've even wondered that, like, I don't know, is it some fancy thing that I need to connect to or learn how to do or meditate a certain way? But
No,
it really is just following those good feelings, right?
I I I had an experience, Shawn, that you just actually made me think of. I was in a Reiki session, and the woman that was doing the Reiki, she was down at my feet for a while. I was having a ton of stress, and I was going through a really tumultuous personal time. And she so clearly came to me. And it was funny because I was awake, but I could picture her down at my feet. And I remember saying, like, "Oh, you look so young." Like, in my thought, and she was like, I didn't always look that way, Jasa. Like, when you knew me, like, it's like we had this like little funny banter. But I'm recognizing now, like, I had changed my energetic state. I was in this like
mm,
blissful, relaxed state. And therefore, it allowed an opportunity for her to come to me. Is that like what was
absolutely.
happening?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Anytime we get
My
into
God.
this place of just like feeling that those beautiful, like mushy emotions, we are so connected and we are so in touch. And it comes to this point where we're like, you don't want people to feel like they need to rush through their grief so that they can be connected or anything like
Right.
that. But people just need to allow themselves enough grace within something like grief to have moments where they can have some relief. They can let themselves laugh. They can let themselves smile at a memory that brings them some joy, because that is what helps them reconnect to their own soul. And all of this is, all connection comes from being connected to your own soul first and then going outward. It's not feeling good so
Mm,
you can
That
connect
makes
to
sense.
another energy around you. It's so that your soul can do what it has always been able to do, which is be connected and communicate. It's just about getting the human out of the way enough to do that.
Which is not always easy.
okay.
Yeah,
Right, but, like, there's this scripture it kind of reminds me of, like, "Be still and know that I'm God," right? It's like, if we can, like, somehow quiet the things around us, right? Because we have so much external stimulation, our phones, TVs,
Mhm.
computer, right? It's like the outside stimulus is so great, but if we can get to this place where we're still in meditation or something like just elevating your energetic state and tuning in internally, that can kinda open up the door.
absolutely. Yeah. And it can happen in the most simple ways as well. It can just happen by putting on music and dancing. Sometimes
Mm.
that is the most divine point of connection for someone, is
Oh,
just
yeah.
bringing joy in, or just going somewhere beautiful, walking along the beach and appreciating the beauty. That can be a way to just have that connection so innately. We make it so difficult and so complicated, but really it's the most simple and natural thing ever.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true.
So do you just, like, vibrate higher? You're just, like, up in some different
Sean's up
plane.
here in
Yeah.
the ether.
Is that
I
is
try
that
my
just,
I
like,
do
your normal
try. I mean,
frequency? No, but for real, like, I'm just curious, like, what would make somebody more naturally adept at these things? I do believe you that we're all able, right? But
yeah.
clearly you have a natural gift. Like, you have a natural God-given gift that is clearly serving other people and blessing other people. But I mean, like, is that how you would describe it? Like, that's just who you are innately?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm any different from anyone else in the fact that I don't battle with my own mind trying to pull me out of that. There's definitely that never goes away. But I do know that in the moments where I need to do my work and communicate with the spirit world, that I have to get myself into that state. And the more
Yeah.
often I do that for myself, then the more often I can do it well for someone else. But if I'm going through something that's too heavy for me to be able to, put aside for a moment and feel great, it's probably best for me not to do any sessions that day or to push things back, because I won't be able to get to the space that I need to be able to get to do the work as well as I can do it. So,
That makes sense.
uh, yeah, I'm not vibrating high all the time any differently from anyone else, but I do
Do you ever just
try.
lose your shit? No, I'm
Yeah.
Oh,
kidding.
all the time, all the
Sean has
time.
like road rage on the road.
Punching walls, flipping
Yeah.
things.
Not with that lovely accent. I don't believe it. You
Oh.
just it's just good vibes only. Um,
I'm curious, are you able to turn it off? Like you
mm,
talked about at the coffee shop, how it just would pop into your head. Is there a way for you to kind of be like, okay, you guys, I can't take any messages today and I need to just decompress?
Yeah, and we have to. And the way
Yeah.
to disengage and to shut off is to just be disinterested, genuinely disinterested. Because if I'm curious about, oh, I wonder who's around them, or I wonder what they're going through that's making them act like such a asshole at this moment in time. For example,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up on things, and it's going to use my own energy. And it's also invasive to just connect
Yeah.
into people without any consent or without being the right time and place. But yeah, it's just about me saying, this is my time for it. And outside of that time, I switch off. And it's only in very rare circumstances now that I will pick up on something in the times that I'm switched off for someone else.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
my own intuition for myself, which I use, but for other people, I have very good boundaries with myself now to not go there when it's not the moment for it.
Yeah.
you'd have to, right? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
then it's like you're almost between worlds all the time. Okay, so I have questions about the spirit world. Or okay, gosh, Liz, I have like 30 at once, but I'm going to try to organize myself. Like, do we look the same? Do we have jobs? What do we do? Can you just describe what it's like based on what your experience is?
So I can put it in a way that they've kind of explained it to me, which answers all of those questions for me. Uh, and hopefully it'll answer them for a lot of other people as well. But there's really nothing for us to do there. There's nothing that nowhere that we need to be, nothing that we feel the need to be doing. To be in the spirit world is to be in this constant state of euphoric bliss and oneness with everything. So there's no like, we don't need to go and do this job, but we are just consciousness existing, interconnected with everything. There's no one to catch up with because we're already one with them. We're already so connected with them. But at the same time, within that oneness, the way that we get here is by creating separation from that bit by bit so that we can experience unique expression, so that we can kind of come down with this personality and with these memories and mindsets and this energy. This is one aspect of our own soul. And all the other experiences that our soul has had continue existing within what I kind of describe as like an oversoul simultaneously. So this version of you will always be this version of you and will always exist as a piece of your soul whenever you're in the spirit world or if your soul ventures elsewhere another time. And those pieces maintain their independence in a way. So all the things that you love will go with you to the spirit world. All your hobbies, all the beautiful places that are so fond to your heart, all the things that you love in your life will continue with you always, and you will continue experiencing them. But at the same time, all the other pieces of your soul that have been other lifetimes, other experiences, have their own there as well. So all the different versions of you, even if you go into another lifetime, even if your soul goes elsewhere, the piece that you are maintains the independence that you have and the personality and the uniqueness that is you. But once you're back there, you'll kind of remember the bigger picture and that you are all of those experiences as one.
So, okay. So now
Does
I
that
have
make
even
sense?
more. It
It
totally does.
does.
It totally does because we are a soul that has no beginning and no end. And then we have
Yeah.
these experiences that we kind of like collect along the way that
Yeah.
feed into that. So, is this why, if you believe in reincarnation, that people will talk about either past life trauma or maybe
Mm.
skills from a previous lifetime that you now utilize? Is it like that too, that we
Or
can
like
kind of,
deja vu
yeah,
even?
or deja
Yeah.
vu or
All of it.
knowing people and connecting with the same
Mm.
people again?
Yeah.
Can we
All of
talk a
it.
little bit about that? like
Yeah.
who we run with, who we reincarnate with. Just, I don't know how that whole process works.
Yeah. And just to add to that, before we go on to another way that helps me understand, it's like, it's just the illusion of separation being stripped each and every time and time again. It's like, oh, I'm not just me, I'm me and all these other versions of myself that have always been in. Oh, I'm not just this soul that's had all of these experiences. I'm all of them. I'm not just this big over soul. I'm a piece of God. I am God. You know, it's just that illusion of separation again and again and again, of independence. But the greater part of us always knows in that space that we are just God experiencing a unique expression. We are just a little unique
Love
spark.
that.
And just like our soul has different lifetimes, God has all these different souls experiencing all their own things, but it's all this big interconnected web of consciousness.
Oh my gosh. So it's like that why when people they have like near death experiences and they come back, they're like, I felt like I was home. Like
Mm,
I'm back to where I was, right? Because they're literally being reconnected to
yeah,
God, their source.
exactly. Exactly.
That's so beautiful.
It
Yeah.
is.
I
It's
used
so
to really
beautiful.
struggle with the concept of reincarnation because not just because of Christianity and like that sort of poo pooed, but I've actually come a long way and it makes way more sense to me that we would reincarnate. So just for my own spiritual journey, I've gotten there. But I used to like really resist the idea because I liked the concept of, okay, my husband and I and our 3 kids, we will all die and we'll go stay same place together and
Yeah.
skip off into eternity. It's a nice little neat package. I know we'll be together forever. And it's like, of course, it's like a mom's perspective, right?
Yeah.
My kids are like, lay off me, mom.
Yeah.
You're
Let me
smothering me in
go.
the afterlife. But like, but like honestly, like there was a lot of fear around that. So this is such a beautiful interpretation of like, yes, like we will come back and do these other things, but it's not like when my kids eventually pass and come to be with me that I won't be there.
Exactly. And this version of you will always
Yeah.
know that version of them, and you'll always have that. And that part of you will always stay together in the spirit world as a part of your soul, even as your soul ventures elsewhere. But within that web, you have the souls that are closest to you within that, and you all go together. So we do
Yeah.
reincarnate in soul families, even our friends and people that we have love for in our life, even people that are sent to challenge us and are the most difficult in our life. They're probably within that web close to us and part of our soul family. And you will all know each other as those versions of yourself, even as you all go together to the next experience.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Rachel and I were
I
burned at a couple stakes together, I'm pretty sure.
For
I was probably
sure.
there with you girls.
Yeah. We probably all held hands as they lit.
1964, is that when you guys were?
Yeah, exactly. That's
More
right.
like 1694.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
totally.
for sure. But there is something to that, because Jason and I have talked about openly how when we met each other, and I felt the same with my husband. It was like
Mhm.
I met him and I was like, it's just so easy. Like I'm not nervous. I feel like I've known you forever. So are those usually the people that we've run with previously?
Yeah, that
Okay.
feeling you get where you're like, "I know you. Where do I know you
Yeah,
from?"
like it's
Mhm.
just comfort and you click
Mhm.
and it's just easy and
Yeah,
fun and okay.
and then
That's
you
so
end up
cool.
having so much shared with them. That feeling is always validated by all that happens from that point onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just so much peace in hearing you
Yeah.
talk about all this. That's what I love the most about it. It's so beautiful and reassuring, you know?
There really
Um,
is nothing to be afraid of. That's what a big part of my work has been about is, there's energy that we don't want to connect into, but it's just misunderstood energy, and it's not really anything that is diabolical or out to get us or anything like that from my experience. And the spirit world, people are like, oh, it's all rainbows and unicorn farts and butterflies, isn't it, Shawn? And I'm like, well, yeah, it is. It is actually. There's
unicorn
yeah,
farts. You're
who
like, what's
doesn't?
wrong with those?
Let's channel some of those.
So I do have a question about denser energy, right? Can you break that down a little bit? So when you talk about that's nothing that we need to really fear per se, it's just a different type of energy, if I'm understanding
Yeah.
correctly? Okay.
Yeah. And the reason why that is what we've seen portrayed is because the way our minds work and the way our egos are, fear sells. And
Yeah.
we want the drama and we want to buy into these freaky things because there's a part of us that wants to attach to them. And that's why they're the biggest and broadest understanding of the spirit world, and that's what's portrayed to us. But this is a real can of worms, so I got to be careful that I don't go too many directions with it. But this place that we incarnate into is this place of polarity. There's polarities of energy within that as well. And as like a pure spark of light that we are, whenever we leave this world and that light returns to its source as a piece of God, there's energy that's left behind. And sometimes that energy is strong enough, is potent enough to continue its momentum that it's already been given. So, say in a traumatic death, or if someone was brutally killed in this awful, terrible way, that would release such a stain onto the environment that it would continue to be felt by anyone who stepped into it. Even though the soul and the consciousness that was a part of that experience is no longer there with it, that
Mm.
energy can continue to interact and to move and to seem conscious in a way, even though the consciousness has left it. And people often interact with these things and we feel them, and hauntings are more common interactions with the spirit world because the energy that's there vibrates closer to our world than the spirit world does. So it can
That
feel
makes sense.
tangible. It can feel like, oh my God, something just touched me because it's so close, because it's been
Mm.
left here when the soul went back to the pure place that it came from.
So I've heard this analogy of like 3D, 4D, 5D, like different dimensions. Is that what that is?
I think that it's an interpretation as well, but I think that is normally referring to the vibrational planes that are here with us and that can be moved between because I don't believe that it's just us here. I think there's planes of energy that are all around us, like probably an infinite number of them that our soul can also journey into. We can incarnate
Mhm.
into a multitude of different worlds, planets. People think, oh, we all just come here over and over again. But I really don't believe that's the case. There's no such thing
No
as a,
way.
a human
Not with
soul.
the, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I could sort of laugh about that when people look at me sideways. I mean, I just was talking to my father-in-law who probably thinks I'm crazy, but I was like, "Well, of course there's aliens. Like, what do you mean? Like, we've only investigated like a nickel size of our own solar system. And like we're
Mhm.
within a galaxy that have billions of solar systems and then there's billions. It's like just the sheer scale, the probability is so high, right? So no, that makes complete sense. Like, and I've also heard, maybe you could confirm this, Earth is sort of like the hard knocks for souls. Is that true?
I've heard that as well. I definitely think there's truth to it. It's not an easy place to be. That's the way I think it's come through.
We're a bit of a hot mess, to
Yeah,
be,
we
let's
are.
be honest.
Seriously.
It's
We're
Right. It's
getting
like you
there.
can
a
We're
make it
getting
through
there.
struggle.
this one.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we'll give you a chiller life on the next turnaround.
Yeah.
No, but what you're saying about dense energy, like I've definitely experienced that, right? Like not something so like extreme as like quote unquote haunting, but like certainly I feel like my spirit can pick up on energy for sure,
Yeah,
good and bad. But I do think what you're saying is so true. That denser, heavier energy, like even people that aren't necessarily plugged in or tuned into their own intuition, they're more apt to feel that because that is more on the plane of where human consciousness vibrates versus intentionally connecting to a higher level. So that makes
exactly.
a ton of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A ton of
it
sense.
does.
So, like, what type of gifts can people identify as having, right? Because there's like different clairs, right? Like being able to see or hear or know things or whatever. How can like somebody that's just curious about this do a little exploration on their own? What would you recommend?
Yeah. Well, people have such high expectations of what a spiritual experience would look like that they're constantly dismissing the ones that they're already having, you know?
Oh, interesting.
Like, people all have this thing happen where they go, "Oh, I wonder what this person is doing right now." And then they look at their phone and they're calling them 10 seconds later.
Hmm.
That's a
Totally.
telepathic connection. And that happens with people we spend a lot of time with, the people we're close with. You start saying things at the same time as each other, start having synchronized thought patterns. That is a psychic telepathic ability that just gets dismissed as coincidence so easily. Uh, but it does show up for all of us in completely different ways. People think that clairvoyance, for example, is going to be like a movie screen projected into their mind. It's not the case at all. Like, if everyone listening right now and you guys just were to visualize a fruit bowl with bananas in it and some apples, with your eyes open, that image is building somewhere within your mind. You may not see it super clearly. You may not be able to like fully see every little detail within that, but that is existing somewhere in your mind, in your imagination. And that's the same place that clairvoyant images will build. So it's about learning to trust and find those super subtle impressions and find trust within them. It's not some profound experience when it's happening. It's just feels very normal, very natural, and very simple that it gets so easily dismissed.
Yeah, I love hearing that too, because I've always wondered. You know, you always assume that when someone has a gift like you and you're watching them give information, that you're just seeing it as clear as day in front of you on a screen. You know, like
I
that's how
wish.
I've
I
always
wish.
wondered that, what it looks like.
You're
That would
like, it's
make
a
my
little
life
murky.
so
Yeah.
easy. I wouldn't have to work at all. It's hard work.
Yeah.
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 So, people who fear of dying or people who have recently lost somebody. I mean, you've already given us so many reassuring things, but what is that experience like? Or do you have any idea of like what death, air quotes, I know we don't really die, but what that feels like and what returning is like?
Yeah. Well, whenever you listen to near death experiences, they're always like, I didn't want to come back. Where I was the
Right.
most
Hmm.
beautiful, most incredible, euphoric experience they've ever had. And if they feel that they have to be sent back, they come back kicking and screaming that they don't want to, you know? So from listening to those people, it's quite clear to me that there really is nothing to be afraid of. But with my own encounters with the spirit world and hearing what they say, there really is immediate remembrance of what we truly are and a release of all fear and hesitation that was there leading up to that point. And I actually find that people who believe in a punishing God enter the spirit world with far more fear and trepidation than someone who doesn't believe in anything at all.
Right.
Like, people
Wow.
believe I'm going to go there and I'm going to be judged. Every little decision I made in my life is going to be picked apart. And then Judgment Day is going to come and I'll be sent to one place or another. Those people always come through with this message of, it was such a relief. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. There was nothing to be afraid of. There was no judgment. It was just being welcomed home by the most unconditional love.
So you have obviously talked to people who are earthside, people from totally different walks of life. Christians, Muslims, I'm sure like every type of religion under the sun, and are connecting to souls that practiced every religion under the sun, right? So, in your professional experience, does it matter,
Yeah.
right? Am I hearing that correctly?
It's all interpretations of the same thing, you know?
Yes,
It's all
it is.
different
It's
interpretations of the same thing. And once we get back there, we remember all the absolute truth. So all of the illusion of separation between those things is all separated. We remember the truth within all of them. We realize where human constructs have been misinterpreted of this thing and have portrayed it in a certain way. Uh, but yeah, it doesn't matter. We all go to the same place. There's no heaven for these people, heaven for people who believe in this, heaven for people who don't believe in anything at all. But what I will say is the spirit world the greater part of our soul welcomes us back to the spirit world in a way that feels safe and familiar and welcoming to us. So people who have lived a really devout uh, Muslim life, for example, the spirit world for them might first be this beautiful mosque where all of their family members are there, gathered with them, meeting them. But then
Oh, it's
as they move
beautiful.
beyond that, it's all just light, and then they remember,
Yeah.
oh, I remember when I was a Christian. I remember when I was this. I remember when I was that. And all of the separation is gone.
Yeah, I just feel that in my own spiritual growth so much that as I've evolved and kind of opened up a little bit, I sense that connectedness so much. Like it really doesn't seem to matter to me personally. But what would you say to people who maybe have been taught that this is wrong or taught that it's somehow evil? Like, do you have any insight or wisdom to share with people who might be a little bit hesitant or still a
Yeah,
little nervous and, you know, scarred, I guess, from some of
yeah.
the upbringing?
It's a hard one to break out of, and still to this day, a lot of the comments on my posts of people telling me that I'm communicating with demons, that
Mhm.
I'm going to pay for what I'm doing, that it's Satan's work, and all of that. And um, to those people, I just wish that they would seek answers for themselves because they have a source of truth within them. And I would question them, do you really believe that God is that punishing, or is that unfair? That demons could communicate with us, but our loved ones couldn't? Do we believe that demons are more powerful than God? Because he's the creator of everything. And I would say to them, if you believe in any way that we can communicate with God or interact with God consciousness, if we can feel him, if we can be guided by him, and we know that heaven is with God, to be there with God, then we know that we can reach them as well and we can interact with them as well. I definitely believe that there have been constructs within certain rulers that have portrayed things in a way to keep people more easily controlled and to keep people from connecting into that source of truth that they have within themselves because they knew how powerful we would be if we all did that.
Oh
For
my gosh,
sure.
preach. It's so true.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all fear-based, and I think if people really understood how powerful we each are, that we would be so much more sovereign in our own right? Like, I think that's the fear is, like, if
Yeah,
people really understood what they're capable of. I think what you're saying too is, like, people have to experience for themselves, and half the reason, I mean, we both individually love you and have been following you for a while, but why we thought you would be so amazing for the podcast is because Rachel and I have been open-minded to experience different spiritual thought leaders, workers, because we have had so much healing and spiritual gain from it. And where we kind of advise people, like, everybody has to make their own decision, right? Like, they have to follow their own intuition. But energy doesn't lie. And I feel like once they listen to you, they hear you, they
Yeah.
understand your voice, and they feel your own energy. And I better believe a lot of people are going to listen and they're going to hear a lot of things for the first time today. But something inside is going to say, that sounds familiar to me, or
exactly.
Yeah.
that makes me feel
Yeah.
peaceful
Hmm.
hearing that. Or, and we talk a lot about like follow the fruit. If it's the fruit of the spirit, it brings peace, it brings belonging, it brings clarity, right? And listen, like, I've had many situations, even people that I'm gonna tell you right now, like even Christian pastors, where I'm like, I don't get a good vibe from you. Like, trust your own intuition,
Yeah.
like, and that's the thing. And it's just kind of opening the dialogue up to say, if you're grieving, you can talk to people like Shawn. You can connect to people that have flexed that muscle and learned that skill. And better yet, this is something that you can incorporate in your day to day and have that more like tangible experience with that loved one that you can no longer see and feel the way that you used to, but you might be able to experience them in a brand new way. And to me,
Yeah.
like, what's better than that? Like, what's more godly and God-given than that, I
Yeah,
don't know. It's just
yeah.
Yeah.
exciting to think about.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And you
Yeah.
took
That
the
was
words out of my mouth with
beautiful.
energy doesn't lie, you know? People are afraid,
It's
oh, what if
true.
I
Yeah.
accidentally connect into something bad? Before you can connect into anything, the first thing it's going to start off with is a feeling. And
Yes.
a demon, a evil being, if there was one coming or there was one that you could connect into, it wouldn't feel nice. There's no way that an energy like that could show up as something loving or could trick someone, because the energy would just not be able to evoke that within you, you know? The
Hmm.
energy of something dark could never start off feeling like this beautiful experience. It would never bring light. There's no way that it ever could. And I'm not telling everyone, come and book in for a reading. I'm saying you can do this and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can connect with them yourself. And if you don't believe that you can, then you're missing out. Come and
Yeah.
join us.
I
I
know.
know. It's awesome. Tell me
Well, that's
about birds. Will you tell us about birds? Because I feel like loved ones and angels. I also have questions about angels and spirit guides, but this is my theory. You can tell me if I'm totally wrong. I feel like the spirit world uses birds because they're more sensitive to frequency. Is that
Mm. I think
totally
that's a beautiful
crazy?
interpretation. No, I think absolutely. The natural world in general is
Yeah.
more susceptible to energy. They're more intuitive. Anything without an ego is super connected. And,
That makes sense.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
That makes
sure,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have that separation because we have this strong sense of identity, and we get these rules and these ways that things do work and don't work, and we build this structure that is what keeps us from being super intuitive and super guided by source consciousness, God consciousness. But birds, the natural world, butterflies, they're just existing at one as a piece of that. And that's why our loved ones can influence them so easily to come and connect with us, to get us a sign and for us to know that they're there.
That's the one beautiful thing. I mean, this is going to sound weird, but the beautiful thing about experiencing loss, I think, is it does open people up. Because I've
mm,
seen just in my own experience and through watching other people walk through it, it's like all of a sudden they lose a loved one. And someone who before was like, no, there's no way that that's possible. And that's just garbage. And you can't talk to people. It's like it cracks us open in a really unique way, and I don't know, I feel like it opens a lot of hearts and a lot of minds to being open to the unseen, to wondering where they are, if they're okay, and it's kinda like this beautiful little light behind a door that people, I don't know, just become a little bit more curious about, which I think
Yeah.
is one of the beautiful aspects of it, as painful as it is, that it can lead to other awareness,
Yeah.
and spiritual growth in that way, which I think is cool.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
causes people for sometimes for the first time to question.
mhm.
Yeah.
I also wonder about like vulnerability, right? Because grief totally makes you vulnerable. And a lot of the walls that maybe you had up or, that's cracked open. And I think a lot about m- my experience. So my son was diagnosed with cancer. He's great. He's done with treatment. He's on the other side of it. But there was a period of time when we were in the hospital where, I mean, obviously, like our world fell apart, but I could feel angels everywhere. It was like the hardest time of my life and simultaneously like the most magical. And there
Mm,
was something about and I also think there's something very unique about children's, the hospital, where it's like it's the hardest place to be, but also you can feel the spirit world's presence there. And I can't describe it. I don't have the words. I just feel it. But I wonder, if some of our loved ones or the spirit world takes the opportunity in moments of grief and pain to make sure that we're supported in the way that they can support us.
absolutely. They're
Yeah.
never not there. They never leave us hanging. It's just whether you're open enough to feel their presence or not.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Rach, didn't your daughters have a couple questions?
Well, it was funny. So last night I was telling the girls, I'm like, you guys, I'm talking to someone who can talk to people on the other side, and he's really practiced this and he's good at it. Do you have any questions? But I think you've already answered it. Like one
Okay.
was they were wondering about, are we young? They had watched some movie where it was, someone had gone to the other side to see heaven, and they came back and they were talking about their grandpa who wasn't old in heaven. He was young in heaven.
We show up in a way that we will be best understood and remembered and received. And a lot of spirits will show up as their younger, healthier self because that's their way of saying, I'm free from all that you saw me
Mm,
go through. And
that
also
makes sense.
for kids, like, uh, they might see the spirit world as other kids because that's the way they're going to be most welcoming to them. You know, it's less
Sure.
scary than this like unfamiliar adult showing up as a spirit than their new best friend showing up as
Yeah.
someone their age that becomes their imaginary friend. You know, a lot of the times that's their spirit guides.
Yeah.
You used to
I
have
used to
one?
love well, no, I just used to love it. My husband used to laugh at me because if they'd talk about anything like that, I'd look at him and be like, "Ooh, maybe we're making a connection. Maybe she's seeing things that we're not seeing." Like, I would get so excited. So it was just cute. But the other thing they wanted to know about is pets. Do pets I'm assuming they go because 'cause they're
Yeah,
souls and have
yeah.
okay. Yeah,
We're
that's cute.
together with our animals forever as well, and they
My
are
I
all
feel
goodness.
so
that.
little
beautiful.
souls. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Some of
the
my
connection to my dog, I have a big old English sheepdog, and I mean, Jason knows he pisses me off like every day. But we also have this deep heart connection, you know? I can't imagine going anywhere and not having my Murphy with me.
yeah, it's a soulmate connection. And my
Yeah.
selfishly, my absolute favorite readings to do are the ones where people are there to connect with an animal who's passed away. And when they get to have a voice and say all the things that
Oh,
they never got to say, they're so sweet.
That
Those
is really that's
readings.
something yeah, you think
I
about that
know.
because they could never express their love or affection with
Yeah,
words.
yeah,
So, okay, so angels. Do you have connection to angels and spirit guides?
yeah.
Or is it just past love? Okay. So I'm just curious, like, who are spirit guides?
I like
Are
that.
they part of our angel team? Are they angels? Are they loved ones? Like, who I imagine we have this like bench of people that are there to support us. But I feel one guardian angel. His name is Thomas. Don't ask me how I know that. I was meditating once and he just came to me and I was like, okay, Thomas, I could tell you exactly what he looks like. But like, I also during different periods of my life have felt other angels or guides come through. So I'm just curious, like, can you tell us more about those beings?
Absolutely. Our spirit guides are kind of like the other souls that are close to us in that web, you know, like our soul family, our loved ones. Spirit guides are part of our soul family that are with us from over there during this lifetime. You know, we may have been here together before. For example, your husband might be your spirit guide the next time you come back here, as an example.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
he's
Uh,
gonna be like, I don't want to guide her. She doesn't listen to anything I say.
yeah. Or Jisa, you could be Rachel's spirit guide next
Yeah,
time. Maybe
I
that
would
would
be
be the
like,
way.
do
Maybe
it,
that's more
do it,
Yeah.
better.
do it, Rach. I got your back.
Uh, but yeah, people always think, oh, I wonder what my spirit guide looks like. What name do they have? They're probably some ethereal being. They're probably a druid or an Egyptian or they're some Native American. You know, we dream of these characters for them, but a lot of the time they are just like they want to show up as this version of themselves that is just completely relatable and
Totally.
completely just some dude, you know, that
Yeah.
is here to help. And that might be the way it comes across. That might be what Thomas is like to you. Uh, Angels to me, on the other hand, they're such a pure expression of God consciousness. And I've only had a few encounters with them, but some of those encounters have been the most profound things I've ever experienced. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around them and what they are. It's easier for me to interpret all the other stuff because this is something that just feels so divine, so pure. But
Hmm.
the way that Spirit have said it to me or shown it to me is kind of like in between the layers of separation between us as soul beings and God, there's these other beings in between. And they're kind of like all of our souls exist within them. And then it's like this constant getting bigger and more multifaceted as it goes out. But
Oh,
angels to me are just this closeness with that original consciousness and this pure expression of it. and the encounters we have with them are so divine. And if there's ever a divine intervention in anyone's life, one of these beings is probably there for it, whether it's been noticed or not.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I experienced it for sure.
Yeah.
And like what you said about them presenting themselves to me as just regular angels. Like my son, his guardian angel is like funny and gruff, and like I can describe his persona and his energy, and like gets a, it's like it's very hard for me to describe it. It's like the way that they present themselves to me is very normal and in a way that I would understand them. That's my
Yeah.
point, right? Where your understanding is so much more sophisticated because you've done this work to really connect to their specific energies, where we can all do it, but they might come to us maybe a little differently based on where we're at on our spiritual journey, which I think is so cool. Because like
Yeah.
if a thing of like bright light showed itself to me, I'd be like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like
I'm out of here.
How do I understand this? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's exactly right. Like that's what we all are, but we're in the spirit world, we're going to come to our loved ones or to people that we want to come to in a way that we will be understood. So even if someone was very difficult in their life and had a lot of problems, even though they're not that way anymore and they are this pure spark of divine light, they'll still come to me in a way that they're going to be recognized. They're still going to come through with all of those funny things about themselves and all of those downfalls, because only in identifying them will they be able to say, I'm not like that anymore,
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
this is such a expansive conversation.
I know. I love it.
Got another 3
love it.
hours? I mean,
I know. Well,
Yeah, seriously.
I'm ready to hop on a plane to Australia.
No, for real.
aw.
Can we talk about your wait list? I tried to sign up with you like 6 months ago. I
Aw.
mean, seriously, tell
That's
people. I
awesome.
mean, like you have a
Yeah.
multi-year wait list. It is exceptional. I mean,
Yeah.
you clearly are changing lives. And I also see you doing amazing things where you do drawings for people and you're always trying to work people in, which is so cool.
Mm.
But gosh, I mean,
Thank you so much.
yeah, you are doing God's work.
I
And
know.
I really
You
want
are.
people to walk away from this conversation hearing your voice, your energy, your reassurance. Because if you're struggling with something and you want to help alleviate that grief, I mean, I love what you were saying, Shawn, about we can do it ourselves. But also sometimes it's really amazing to talk to somebody like you.
Yeah.
And because it's hard to understand our own intuition, right? Like sometimes you want to be like, well, is a cigar just a cigar? Or is this really my loved one coming through? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I
Mm.
just think you're doing
Thank you so much.
amazing things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for all
Thank you,
the
guys.
good and beauty and love that you put out into the world. I mean, it truly is so healing to so many people. It's important.
That's so nice. And I'd just say to people who are like that, they're like questioning everything, just anytime you wonder if something could be a sign, there's a 99% chance that it is.
yeah.
If you ever wonder, I wonder if that's them trying to reach me, it is. You can have faith within that.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. If you're ready to take your spirituality to the next level, be sure to check out our website, spiritoutspoken.com. There you can download free educational resources, read our latest blog posts, and join the Spirit Outspoken community.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Spirit Outspoken to stay up to date on news, happenings, shenanigans, and all things Spirit Outspoken.